Dimitri has just arrived from a major event, so make sure you stay until the end to figure out what that was because it's been a fun time for the Market Buzz members. We're making money, we're making connections, and hopefully we make you some money, but it's not guaranteed. Remember that this is only for entertainment purposes, and hopefully you get some inspiration. We are hoping to make you some money, but we're not guaranteeing it because we're not your financial advisor. Let's get into it. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about Jerome Powell. He just had his FOMC meeting and interest rates stayed the same. The war rages on and Trump stays away. He tackles out of engage in Iran. The big question is, will he do anything in the next 2 weeks? And we want to analyze a little bit of the macro data and understand what Dimitris and myself are doing with our portfolios currently. Welcome to another episode of Market Bot. All right, Dimitris, tell
Yeah.
me what is going on. Tell me what you saw. I wanna hear your thoughts on Powell because I had to miss it. I sort of like did the little cheat sheet of figuring out after the event, but I didn't watch the event, so I feel like I'm slacking here.
So it was interesting and confusing at the same time. And I was watching the press conference, and I was texting with Mimi Cora Trades, and we're going back and forth. And I'm like, you know what? That doesn't sound like Jay Powell. He's been talking about forecasts and about projections and surveys and all that. And the Fed is not used to using forward-looking soft data because the service and the forecast are soft data. Okay, maybe you do some analysis to you give a forecast, but it's based on sentiment, basically.
Yeah, yeah,
Only
yeah, yeah.
only the backlooking data are actually concrete and actual facts. The economy, it is what it is. Like it's 4.2 or 3.7 unemployment. That's the fact. Whatever speculation in the future is just soft data. And I wish I count how many times he referred to forecast and service and was his decision making holding rates steady, but I saw a major shift in the way he communicated, the way his decision making is basically coming together now. And this is what I wrote on my post on eToro 2 days ago. And people got to me and they're like, he didn't do a shift. I saw a shift because I watched. I don't know how many of them, and it wasn't too long ago when he said that forecasters are unreliable, especially looking forward like more than 6 months. And the U.S. is the only economy that is holding rates up high. I think I read today that Switzerland it went back to zero today.
Oh,
It
wow.
cut.
Okay.
So Switzerland is back to zero. Europe had like how many cuts? Yeah, but they had low inflation, of course. So I'm not calling for the 2% lower that Trump is calling, but we are we are 2% above neutral, and we saw the softening in housing, and,
Yeah.
the, and that has everything to do with interest rates and housing and mortgage. So I don't get it why he doesn't want to cut, and he's referring to those to inflation that is going to come from tariffs, and they have so much confidence that that inflation is coming, even though the last time Trump used tariffs, we did not get inflation in 2018. And before that, I don't remember when was the last time a president used tariffs against another nation and we got inflation. So I don't know in what past data are they basing their decision making. This is all I'm saying. And the Fed should be consistent. You know what? If you're gonna make decision with backward data, then keep doing it. Don't change it. I mean, is it political? Is it because the president called him like an idiot?
You know what? Like after seeing the way that Jerome has acted, I don't think it's political. I
Okay.
think he's truly scared of what could happen. And one of the interesting stories that I hear about the current situation with Powell is the fact that you remember when there was flip flopping in the interest rate back in the day, and then like it was like the Fed started increasing interest rates, they cut down, and they had to re-increase them, and it was like
You're talking
what
about
was
the double dip in the 70s?
yes,
The
and then
peak.
yeah, and then that was with Volcker,
Yeah,
with Fed Chair Volcker.
yes.
So they're scared of doing that. And I
Yeah.
think they're in a really good position right now. Like unemployment still holding steady. There is
Mhm.
something interesting that Waller said in an interview he did with CNBC today or the day before,
Mm.
where he was talking about how employment could start to wither down, or
Yes.
we could start seeing some damage in the employment side of the economy. And if that was to come, we should be thinking of cutting rates potentially. But the question is, are we going to see that? I think the inflation fears are overblown. I've always been in the camp that if we see inflation, we're going to see a one-time spike and then come back to normality. But we're not going to see anywhere near what we saw in COVID, because we're seeing a reshuffling of the global economy. We're not seeing a complete shutdown of the global economy, right? We are. What are we really getting from the tariffs? Is 10% across the board, right? 10%, that he wanted to get the 10%, but Trump, he needs to come in, bring up a show, tumble everything, and then come down to the real rates. And then defense companies and China's going to get a little bit more, just like you said, which is super interesting too, right? In terms of Powell here, it's like, I think he wants ammunition in case he needs it. If the zombies start coming, he wants to have that ammunition. And I'm okay holding at this rate, actually, for now. For now, you know?
4.25 to 4.5,
Yeah.
and inflation is at 2.5, 2% above neutral.
But just hold, make sure that this doesn't happen. And if the demons don't materialize, okay, we saw some damage in the economy, some small caps are going to collapse, but the big players are going to remain the same, right? So it's like, that's why I'm staying, like, I haven't even touched the smaller, but we're still at historical levels. We're still, unemployment is really low, interest rates historically are still very low. We just got accustomed to really cheap money, and we like the cheap money,
Yeah.
you know
And okay, so we're not going back to zero. So the neutral is 2.5, and they want inflation to be at the 2% target. So I'm assuming, looking forward, if nothing crazy happens, interest rates, federal funds rate will be between 2 and 2.5. So it's going to be cheap money, but it's not going to be zero. Okay.
correct.
My issue, and I don't have any problem holding rates up here as well either. My issue is, okay, because you have to get on a press conference and explain your motivations and and worries what might come. Can you please keep it consistent?
Yeah. No, that I agree with. That I agree with. But the thing is if he kept it consistent, he has to drop rates.
Yes,
That's the problem.
yes,
So maybe if he keeps it consistent, he has to drop rates. So right now he's like, look, like we're just like, now we're thinking maybe we look at the future instead of the rear view mirror, which is
yes,
what we've been wanting them to do.
yes. But the issue is, and a lot of people don't take this into consideration, is that those meetings, they don't happen every 2 weeks. They happen every
But
six every 6 weeks.
but if they need to cut, they'll do an emergency meeting.
You know what? The emergency meeting is not going to help anybody. The
It
emergency
won't.
meeting
It
is
won't.
going to freak the market. It's going to freak the market out, because
Yeah,
when
yeah, yeah.
you have an emergency,
It's the truth. It's the
the
truth. I agree 100%. I agree
last,
100%.
the last emergency cut was during COVID.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's the truth. But then it's like at that time it's like, okay, we re-enter markets. You know what I mean? Like if
Yes,
something happens like this, then you gotta make sure you have a little bit of cash in the silence for something that could make this happen. But I don't see it happening anytime soon. Because yeah, we're seeing some weakening. One of the things that kind of has spooked me out, and this is when we start going into the macro data, because I agree with you, right now it's only the soft data that's starting to show sort of
yeah,
weaknesses, and it's like consumer sentiment. It's like, yeah, the consumer is hurting. Of course he's hurting. We
yeah.
had massive inflation coming into this.
Do you know what? I swear to God, not the event on Wednesday, the press conference, the one prior or the one before. Someone asked him, Jay Powell, about consumer confidence, and I swear to God, his response was, yes, consumer confidence is low, but they go and buy like a luxury car, sarcastically.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a few months ago. So don't come now and tell me that consumer confidence it's weak. The consumer confidence is, and by the way, it's a bit political as well, because if you are a Republican household and you're watching Fox News and they call you, you have very high confidence in the economy.
Yeah.
If you're a Democrat and you're watching CNN and they call you, you said you're so pessimistic.
Yeah,
So
and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a little bit of that coming into the. There's a little bit of politicization in the new data.
yes, because America is so divided as a nation politically. So it's not as simple like consumer confidence. They go outside of Walmart and they ask people, "Oh, how you feel about the economy?" And the guy,
Yeah.
no, that's not how it works. It's a bit
Yeah.
more complicated than people think. And I'm not. Okay, Trump asked for 2% lower federal funds rates this
Yeah.
week.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That was an exaggeration. That's crazy. I'm not asking for that. But if they cut like a quarter point, at 25 basis points, and made 4%, we're still at 175 basis points above neutral.
Yeah.
And I don't think inflation is spiking 2% in a single month.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think so either. Like the soft data, like the soft data has kept believing that we're gonna hit. Like I think we reached like 7% at some point. You know, like the
Yes.
survey said, and that survey's starting to come down, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is like what happens when this, like when we finally cement this, because we haven't really had the tariffs.
Yes.
Everything has just getting delayed and shoved aside, and it's just the uncertainty. The thing that I don't think Jerome Powell likes in this case is the uncertainty that he's bringing to the
Mm-hmm.
table. You know, it's just flip-flopping here, and now we have a war, and now we're dealing with this other thing, and it's like so many issues. I'm not able to, it's like it's almost like flying blind. He's flying
Yeah.
the plane blind.
Yeah, but the
You
thing
know?
with the tariffs, so the Liberation Day was announced a month prior of April 2nd.
Yeah.
Okay. So soon as he announced, no, first he started the tariffs with Mexico and Canada, correct?
Yeah.
And then he announced the April 2nd Liberation Day. And
Hmm.
from that moment, they said, okay, next month we're going to see a spike in inflation because everyone is trying to front run the tariffs. We
Yeah.
didn't get that. Then we get April 2nd, okay, now we're going to see inflation. We didn't get that. Then the following month and the following month and the following month, and we did not get inflation. It wasn't like a consistent drop, but it was like always is. So economists and the Fed employs 3,000 economists for some reason, and they are waiting for the next month. They're actually praying to get inflation so they can be right. Though
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
they're waiting for that month to get the inflation to
Yeah.
justify their action. And I'm not saying we won't, but I'm saying, what if we don't?
Yeah.
And
But you know what the problem? You know what the problem with with an economist is? I'll tell you because I graduated economics.
yeah,
The problem with an economist is an economist will tell you what's gonna happen, and when it doesn't, he'll explain to you why it didn't.
yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like, so
And they
that's
don't,
the problem we have with the big economists and the analysts at the Fed.
and they don't have any skin, and they don't have any skin in the game.
It's the truth.
And they don't have any skin in the game.
Yeah.
And they're employed by the federal government. So
Exactly. No, and that's the difference between us and them. You
yeah,
can actually check out our portfolios in the description below. So make sure that if you're wondering what we're buying, what we're selling, you can always check them down. Make sure you click the links and check out our portfolios to keep us honest.
absolutely. When we say
Yeah.
something, we have skin in the game, and it's important, Like if you're an economist for J.P. Morgan, and you get on TV and you make a claim, you know what? You better be in the ballpark because it's a
Because
private
there's
company.
one right next to you taking your job.
Yes, they're gonna get someone else that is better than
For
you.
sure.
And so I have my issues with the Fed. And again, I understand why they're holding, but can you please be consistent with your
Yeah.
approach, at least communicating why you're not? And you have to see the but you have to see the body language and the tone. He was trying to justify why they're holding. Okay,
Yeah.
and you have to get the soft landing. The soft landing is supposed to get it down at the time. Uh, the other thing is, once the unemployment starts going up, then it's not stopping.
And it's too late. Yeah.
Then it's too late. Then by the time you start cutting, and what you're gonna cut 50?
Yeah.
You're gonna cut
Or
a,
you're or one, you know what I mean? You're gonna go for the one
you're
percent
gonna go
cut.
for, you're gonna go for the one. I mean, if you go for the one, it's like making an emergency.
Emergency.
Basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
It's
an
an
emergency.
emergency meeting for
And you're
sure.
gonna freak everyone out.
Hundred
So
percent.
I'm not saying they have an easy task. I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. It's the
Yeah.
most difficult job actually, what they have to pull off. But at least be consistent with your communication. And you know what? One reporter asked a very valid question, and the question was, in December when you did the last cut, the economy was much stronger than it is now. It was at 2.5% the fourth quarter. This quarter is 1.5, is 1.7. The unemployment was in the high threes, and now it's in the mid fours. But you did a rate cut. Why don't you make a rate cut now? And you know what his answer was? His answer was, at the time the forecast, okay, pointed. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So now they're making decisions based on forecast, but 2 months ago they were
They were
making
making.
yes. So that was my issue, and people got crazy on Toro, thinking that I'm a conspiracy theorist or anything. That was my whole point.
Yeah, no, well, that makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. The question is like, is he starting to try to change the story from the Fed, the public story, and trying to maybe allow people to? How could you interpret it, right? Before it was like we're looking at backward data. Now we're looking. Maybe he's a bit more worried about what's to come. It could come. You know what I mean? I think he's looking at ghosts, but if they materialize, it could be ugly. It could be ugly. So it's gonna be tricky. It's
And
gonna be tricky.
what is he trying to do? What is he trying to do to hold rates up, and then a couple of more months and we don't get inflation, and then he wants to give Trump grounds to remove him?
Yeah.
Because when you're holding rates up just for the sake of holding them up, you're hurting the economy, you're hurting the US government ability to borrow.
That's why Trump is mad.
That's what that Trump is mad. And Trump wants the economy to be like a strong economy. And if people can't borrow at low rates and go buy those houses, go spend for renovations and all that, which is a big part, I think it's 50% of the economy, the housing.
Yeah.
50% of the economy. So, and Trump was to be able to brag about a good economy. He's not doing it because uh, he's trying to be bragging about the economy.
Yeah.
So he wants to give Trump grounds to remove him 6 months before his term. I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And I'm watching this, and I have all these thoughts in my head, and I'm trying to communicate them to the community, but you can't communicate what I just saw like through a 4 paragraph post, and the whole thing gets confused, and I go with people back and forth, and why I have this opinion, but you know what, it is what it is.
That's okay. We'll make sure to post this in I'll make sure to post the link to the
Yeah,
episode on your post, to
yeah,
make sure that people that are interested at least can watch it. But
yes,
okay, talking about Trump and talking about him wanting to sort of celebrate everything that happens in the world as his victory, no matter what it is,
yes.
Trump has a new war. He said there was not going to be any wars when he was in power, and now Israel has expanded the war.
Okay,
Thoughts?
my thoughts on the positive about the war, which is not really a war, it's just like an aerial exchange between two nations that they don't
Correct.
share. They don't share borders. Do you imagine if they were sharing borders? That would be like a full-blown like war by now. But hopefully Syria and Iraq is in the middle, so they don't share any borders. So at this time, it's just aerial exchange between them. And Trump is giving basically a 2 week deadline, hoping that by that time the whole thing is going to be resolved. He doesn't want to get involved. That's what I saw.
Yeah.
He made a big statement. Oh, we want Israel to win, or whatever he said. But when it's time to put boots on the ground and send U.S. assets in the air to aid Israel, then he's having second thoughts. So he's giving a 2 week, like I'm going to decide in the next 2 weeks.
If I'm gonna go into the war or not.
Yeah,
He just keeps extending. You know, like if Trump feels like a university student that always asks for an extension,
yes,
just like
exactly,
me in university.
exactly, exactly. Let's delay the whole thing.
Yeah. He keeps delaying, and hopefully, like Iran doesn't get upset, you know, and like all of this, or hopefully they don't have the nuclear bomb that everybody's just scared of, you know, because if
Yeah.
we could see sort of like that could freak out markets, you know,
Yes.
that
Yeah.
could.
Yeah, but once you pull out the nuclear, then it's a game over because
Then you have all of the other nuclear bombs pointed at you, you know. So
pointed at
that's
you.
where it becomes. The
Yeah.
question is like, what do we see if you know the Strait of Hormuz is the big thing, and we're talking about this before the episode started. But the reality why everybody's paying attention to Iran is oil.
Yes. If it wasn't for oil, it wouldn't matter to markets, and the markets don't seem to care as much as I thought. If you told me 2 weeks ago that that would be the case, Iran, but it makes sense in some sense because Iran has sanctions on its oil, so they only sell it to China, India, and they're not selling it with US dollars. So I'm guessing that's why it's outside of the system, basically.
Okay.
That's why maybe the price is not spiking, and or a combination that the market foresees a resolution, a quick resolution. Which one is it? I'm in the middle. I don't know. I think maybe it's like a little bit of both. But I think the market sees a quick resolution of the conflict. Someone is gonna pull back and say, you know what, let's get to the table and let's talk. But the oil price is flat. We started with in the low like 70 something, and today we started the year with 70 something in oil price, and today we are like 70 something in oil price. So
Yeah, we've recovered. I mean, like we
yeah.
touched the low 60s, right? Well, the high 50s. We touched 57, and then at those moments it felt like, you know, like like sort of like it was almost getting shorted in a sense. And then now
Yes,
we're seeing it was a high rise for oil, you know, like because like that move sort of scared me out. Like it caught me off guard too, like that. It was almost like a 10% move.
that was like a 10% on a single day. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was and you for oil, and then that was like because the tensions were showing. And it was funny because it was showing just a little bit before too, just before the tensions were hyped like to the peak.
Yeah, but oil was like trading in the low 60s, and it was a low, like a multi-month low, and so the setup was idea for this pump.
Yeah.
I think we're getting the pump one way or another, but because of the news, we got the pump on a single day. I think we're getting back into the 70s eventually.
Yeah,
That's
right now WTI is sitting at 43, Brent is sitting at 76, right? So
76. Yeah.
it's interesting. I mean, like oil, it almost acts as an indicator for geopolitics, right?
Yes.
Sometimes oil movements can actually give you a little bit of an insight on what's could happen in the global markets, which
And
is
you know what? And you know what? I don't know. And I don't want to sound controversial here, but the OPEC countries, would they be upset uh, if Iran's oil, which is like 20% of the world's supply,
no,
or
it's only 3%
Iran's? Oh, my mistake. It's 20% what passes through the
through the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah. If it's
yeah.
20%, that's
Okay, so if that closes and 25% goes offline on a single day, do you think the OPEC countries are they going to complain?
Well,
That
you know what's interesting, and you know what's really like a very interesting point out of this. OPEC has only increased production even when oil was sitting at 57. So
yes,
maybe they saw this happening.
perhaps
You know what I mean? They've not OPEC Plus has not cut down production.
yes.
So
Yes.
it's an interesting one. Interesting one.
It's a very interesting one.
Yeah.
The I mean, it's so difficult to trade oil because so much goes into it. I mean, commodities, in my opinion, is much more difficult to play with than equities. So that's why I don't touch them. Um,
But you trade like you have some exposure to oil because you do hold Exxon.
I used to. I sold it
Oh, okay.
a couple of months ago, but I'm thinking. So your next question, what's on your desk?
Exactly. So we're going into bam, bam, bam. I'm gonna get Simon to do like a thing.
Yeah,
What's on your desk, Dimitris? I want to know. What are you
Exxon,
paying attention today?
ExxonMobil.
Really? You're going for
Yes,
Exxon?
yes. Yes,
Dang.
because it has been in my portfolio for majority of my career, and I exited 2 months ago, and now I think it's time to get back in it. The oil price in the 70s is ideal, and once the tariff drama goes away, and everything goes back to normal, which we're getting there, and the conflict is resolved because the conflict is not helping anyone. Two countries have some differences, and they're going to figure them out because they don't share borders. If they were sharing borders, that would be a different story. But they don't share borders, and eventually the whole thing is going to resolve. Economies are going to go back into full force, like the global economies, and the oil has to trade so for the oil guys, small or big, for them to be profitable, it has to be between 75 and 90. Anything under 75 is not profitable for
Yeah.
anyone. Maybe for a little bit they can tolerate the losses, but so yeah, and ExxonMobil, like the valuation and the dividend, and it's a big company, like with acquisitions that they're gonna do. As the smaller players go out of business, they're gonna buy them out. By the end of the decade, into the next decade, it's only going to be like a handful of big oil companies, and ExxonMobil is going to be in the best position to be one of the top five. And
Okay.
it's a lifetime position actually, and they're going to
Nice.
transition from oil to whatever creates energy in the next 100 years. It's going to be an energy company, not an oil company in the future. So
Yeah. No, that's for sure. Because like even me, like I one of the energy company that I was like holding on for a really long time. I'm a Shell baby,
mm,
right? My dad used to work for Shell, and if like we've traveled all over with them, and had been lucky enough to be around the world with them. And I've held Shell for a really long time, and then I sold them off recently, and then we've seen this bounce come. I'm kind of sad I'm not in it, but I mean, I moved a lot to tech and a lot so I'm not sad about my my
yeah,
returns.
me too. When I got out of
Yeah.
Exxon, I moved the capital into tech, so I'm
Yeah.
not
No, well,
complaining.
the
It's
yeah,
not that I
tech. I mean,
It's not that I sold and I bought like utilities.
yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
upset it.
Okay, okay. No, but I've got into a little bit of defensive too because I told you I bought UNA.
No, no. When I say utilities, I mean like
Yeah, no,
electricity,
I know. Of
the
course,
boring
of
stuff.
course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I took your advice. I didn't even look at the.
UNH. So the best comparison. So by the way, I was thinking about that, and then I saw an article about the comparison between UNH and CrowdStrike. You remember CrowdStrike last
Hmm.
summer when they had like the outage and the stock lost like 30% in a day, and then they
Yeah,
lost 4% in a week. It's a similar situation, and within the next 6 to 9 months, the stock is going to recover. So what UNH is waiting for. So the stock stabilized around 300 between 290 and 310. That's the
yeah,
range now that it's been going sideways. So what is going to make the stock go up, in my opinion, is they have to give a forecast. They have to give a guidance
yeah,
because they removed the guidance.
yeah,
They have to give a guidance, they have to report earnings and give another guidance. Once these
yeah.
things happens, and hopefully they are like on point, then we'll
We're
get
gonna get
back to
a
yes,
clarity, the
yes.
clarity on. Okay. I
Yes.
get you. I get you. No, I'm very interested. It was kind of like I was looking, it was like I got upset at people coming to me when oil like oil at these levels and everybody was when the market was collapsing and gold was already rallied to the max and everybody was like, no, no, like how about oil? And people are coming to me talking, look, it's not even oil, like gold. And I'm like, tell me to buy gold next time we're sitting at all-time high. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, or tell me to buy like I'm gonna go into defensives whenever we see. And then I do see some opportunities because even solar companies took a hit, right? So there seemed to be opportunity coming in many different places
I
too.
mean, I never had any love for the renewables, um, only because they depended so much on subsidies,
I
and
get you. I
yeah,
get you. Well,
and
it's like it's both it's subsidies and interest rates, right? Because
yes,
you gotta get the cheap money to then like let the government pay you money.
yes, and politics.
Yeah,
So
of
Trump
course.
doesn't love them, and for the next 3.5 years, he's going to get every opportunity to
To
go
hurt them.
against them. So
Yeah.
do you want? And that's why I don't like the defense contractors as well, because there's too much politics in it.
Yeah.
You don't want, and Apple as well. He's been getting on Tim Cook's like behinds.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and you don't want that. You want the free market. You don't want
You,
politics to
you
dictate.
know what? You know what Trump wants? He wants a gold iPhone made in America. That's all he wants. You give him that, he'll give you all the concessions you need. A gold iPhone made in America.
Don't you think that they can make an iPhone in America that is not going to cost $3,000?
I think it's gonna be expensive. I think it's gonna be very expensive because I don't think
How
it's the
much
labor.
more expensive than what it is now? Because now it's $1,500 or sixteen
Yeah.
hundred or whatever the case. So how much more do you think it's going to cost if they make one in America? And I'm not talking about this year. I mean, if they make it like a goal to make one in the next couple of years.
Like it's hard. It's like I haven't done any research on this, so I'm just gonna throw a number out in the
Yeah.
air, right? And this is where we get to the deep end. You know what I mean? So this is where we start talking about just like the rumor mill and whatever.
Yeah.
You know what? I was actually thinking of changing the name from the deep end to the rumor mill. So this is where we start talking about rumors and
Yeah.
things and speculation and all of that stuff. So it's interesting because I think maybe 25 to 35% more expensive in America,
Okay, the 25%.
unless you get robots in it.
Yeah, that's the plans for everyone to do in some point, but only the process of building a plant in the United States with that kind of technology is going to take 5 years by itself.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's the goal, and that's what the president wants, and he's not going to get now. But I think Apple should start considering, not just Apple, other companies as well. They should start considering doing the best they can to produce as much as they can in the United States, so you have a peace of mind from tariffs, supply chain, geopolitics. I mean, okay, Trump is not in office, but someone else is in office, and he feels the same about China having too much control on supply chain. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna? I mean, this thing has to be resolved like one way or another. So
Like there are things that Trump needs, and it's like there's a lot of materials that Trump needs, and I think that those are going to get concessions, and that's where the trade deals come along and play, right? But I think that like you don't want to produce everything in America,
no,
right? Like you want to produce some things, right? And there is a benefit of not having to make it in your own country and just being able to just print money and get
you want the high end.
value.
You want the high end. Like, how awesome would be for Taiwan Semi to produce in the United States?
Well, did you hear the news that shook the microchip space today?
Like
So,
the 1 trillion. You know what? Okay, okay. Let me tell you, because I didn't do too much reading today, but I was reading Bloomberg while I was at the Diamond event. So
oh, we didn't talk about that, by the
we,
way.
yeah, we're gonna talk about that too. So the Japanese guy, what's his name? What's the name of the SoftBank CEO?
Uh, ah, let me
Is
have a
he
look.
trying to throw out
Masoyi-san? Masoyi-san?
Masuki-san? Yeah. Is he trying to drive us crazy with throwing like a ridiculous numbers like 300 billion, 500 billion? Now it's a trillion. I mean, they're throwing the trillion like it's peanuts.
I mean, it might be like, I mean, they got to the billions and now we're like a trillion. Like we are, Nvidia sitting at a $3.5 trillion valuation.
Yeah, but that's different because that's baby that's basically non-existent. But
Yeah.
finding $1 trillion to invest
It's
there,
gonna be rough.
yeah, it's gonna be rough. And
It's
I'm
gonna be rough.
and I'm not and I'm not saying he can't get them from Saudi Arabia or the UAE or the Gulf countries that they sit on so much cash. But can you please don't play with our intelligence and just throw like a number that we can, like $1 trillion? Like seriously, it's only
You know,
like,
aim for the fences, and anywhere in between is good. You know what I mean? It's like,
I mean, I want. Do I have to start reading Bloomberg so I don't read like this kind of bullshit? I mean,
yeah,
what are we talking about here?
yeah.
Okay, but
But
I get it. I get it. There's a movement of huge investment moving
moving
to the
towards it.
United States. Yes, so
Yeah.
which in that sense is good.
Yeah. But the
Yeah.
news that we saw today with the microchips, which was interesting, was that the Wall Street Journal posted that the American government is planning to curtail some of the chip technology from Samsung, TSMC, and other microchip companies in order to minimize the risk of China getting their hands on any advanced chips. And
Mhm.
it shook the market a little bit. But then the Wall Street Journal, sometimes yes, sometimes no, this one could affect and I think the market got spooked about the China deal as well, because if we start seeing sanctions and retaliation from America, even in the microchip sector, we could see some of the fall back into the tariff sort of war agenda again, right? So that's sort of being scary. By the way, did you see the AMD? You called it.
I did.
you know
I did, and
yeah.
and Timothy was arguing with me. He was like, and you know what? I get his point. I don't want to throw Timothy under the bus, but he made
Yeah,
a good point. He said, compared to NVIDIA, what did you get for AMD? And at the time,
yeah,
NVIDIA, percentage-wise, was a much better, and still is. But you have to look for the next thing. And you want exposure, you want to diversify your exposure to chips.
yeah. That's the thing. The thing is like I was in the same camp as Timothy. You know what I mean? I'm like, why play with number two when you can play with number one? You know what I mean?
But if you know that those two horses have the most chances to win, and
Yeah,
it doesn't hurt to bet on both of them.
yeah.
Why
It's the
not?
truth. It's the truth.
And you know what? I think AMD has a huge upside from
Hundred
here.
percent, 100%, because they got punished. It got punished for not being fast enough to be in the data
Yes.
in the cloud race or in the AI race. But I do think they're not far behind. I don't
No.
think they are.
No.
And that's the beauty of Lisa. Lisa always catches up.
Yes,
She
and
always late to the party, but then she makes a scene and grand entrance, and she makes
it
it.
makes a grand entrance
Yeah, 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 yeah,
when
yeah.
she walks in. And you know what? Do you remember, like, maybe it was like 2 summers ago, like 24 months ago, Nvidia reported earnings and gave like a spectacular forward guidance, and the stock went up 30% in the aftermarket.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You're gonna see a repeat in the next couple of
I
quarters.
think I think AMD could. I think AMD could, and I think AWS starting to do business with them, and AWS and Meta, and or maybe Oracle is in the talks as well. So it's
And
an interesting.
so it's two things about AMD. Number one, the valuation, it might be price to earnings richer than Nvidia, but market cap wise, people can tolerate the 100 billion compared to the, no, it's not 100 billion. Is it like 180 billion?
200 billion right now. AMD is sitting at 208 billion dollars.
Okay, so 200 billion compared to 3.6 trillion. I mean, in order to get 100% for Nvidia, it has to be like a $7 trillion company. No, for AMD, it's 400 billion. I mean,
Yeah,
400 billion is Tesla with not making any money, basically has 400. 400
yeah,
billion is like anybody has 400 billion, at
yeah,
least like in the stock market. So that's number one. Number two, I see some rotation outside of Broadcom, which is also expensive, also in the $1 trillion club. people taking profits because they're not taking profits from Nvidia. Because Nvidia, it's mostly retail. Broadcom is institutional.
Yeah.
So
And
as
they didn't do their last earnings. I mean, they beat expectations, but the stock took a little bit of a punishment after earnings.
because that's institutional investors. The
Yeah.
retailers don't give a shit. The retailers, they're holding like
They're like, buy more, buy
we're buying the dip, we're buying the dip. Yeah,
more.
but Broadcom is mostly institutional, and the institutionals, they are so disciplined with their profit taking and rotation. And I believe some capital is rotating outside of Broadcom, going to into AMD, especially after the event like last week,
Yeah.
which everyone attended. And do you know? And I told you this like in the on the last podcast we did together. It was a CNBC interview with Elon Musk, and they asked him where he buys his chips, and he said Nvidia. And we want to buy them from Nvidia because we can't produce them as good, or from AMD because they are good quality and much cheaper.
Yeah.
It went under the radar, but it caught my attention. I was like, you know what? That means more than what he just said. And according to reports, the event they did last week, everyone was there. XAI, Meta, because everyone,
Everybody was there.
everyone
Yeah.
was more chips. And if they can pay less, they can get them sooner because Nvidia it's out of
It's
order. Like
backlogged.
it's
Yeah, it's
backlog.
backlogged.
Yeah. So the second guy is going to sell. That was my thesis before, and I told you. And did you buy into it?
I have a little bit like I've always had an AMD position, but it's not like a massive like it's not like my Nvidia position. Like I believe I trust on my Nvidia
Oh yeah,
position,
you know what?
but I do have a position. I've always had exposure to AMD, even yeah, even from the 200s.
To be fair, my AMD position is nothing compared to my Nvidia position. So I'm not
Yeah,
saying sell Nvidia and buy AMD. That's not what
correct.
I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. Of
Saying
course,
Nvidia is a clear leader. You keep your top position on Nvidia. I think it's my number two position in the portfolio. And AMD is number 6 or 7 with a good allocation. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying
I
switch. I'm
get you.
not saying any of that. But
Okay.
I'm trying to justify it, my my thinking getting into AMD, and I think I got it in March.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, so you've done really well.
Mm.
Yeah, if you've done it in March, you're still yeah, you're up on the position for sure.
I'm up like
Yeah.
30-40% on it.
Nice. Okay. Also, I wanted to talk to you about the Google. Did you see what Google unveiled?
No, I did not
It's
see that.
nuts. It is crazy. If you get a chance to, because I told you this, I was like, I asked you who the second biggest chip manufacturer is for
You did.
cloud,
Yeah, and it's Google.
and
Yeah.
it's Google. You know what I mean? The problem is Google eats all of the chips they produce
Yes.
because they make them directly for their workload.
Yes.
And it was super interesting as well. But the things that they're coming out with, Dimitris, is crazy. It is next level. That every single analyst is kind of like shedding on Google, but Google is innovating like it's a startup.
But why the stock doesn't move?
The problem with Google is that the biggest revenue generator for Google is search, which accounts for around 76% of revenue,
Yes.
right? And search will die. As we used to know it, it will die.
Okay, but have you seen the latest change they make on the search when you search
Correct.
the AI?
Yes, that
Okay.
is what we're going to see. We're going to end up seeing Google be the free version of
Yes.
search with
Yes.
AI and LLMs because 90% of people don't care about like writing an email or whatever. They have access to all of like Gemini has access to all of Google Sheets,
Hmm.
Google Words, OneDrive, Google Drive, Google Maps, all access to all of that, which we don't understand. The amount of access that Google has within our everyday lives, just with the Android
Yeah.
revolution. So it's one thing, and I still don't see it. Everybody thinks that search is gonna get punished, and I think it will. I'm not denying that, but taking into account that like or making a statement that Google will lose all of its revenue because they're going to lose search. It's almost like saying, oh, like they only produce one product. Google has hundreds, hundreds of products that
Yeah,
they
but
can monetize.
the search is the entry to
A
get the.
100%. It's the big cash cow. It's the big
Yes.
cash cow.
And you, yeah, and you don't think they're gonna? I mean, this latest move that you get the automatic like AI answer to your question or whatever you're googling. I mean, this is just the first step. I heard people say that Gemini improved dramatically in
It
the.
is apparently it's the best models right now out there.
Yes. So, and you know what? They have more cash than God, so they can write a check. And we saw the other day Mark Zuckerberg giving $100 million signing bonus to get talent. Do you think Google is gonna sit there and say no? Hold my beer.
Yeah,
150.
yeah, yeah. 100%.
The best guy, so
Yeah.
I can compete because they have more money that they. I mean, this year they did the Wiz acquisition for 36 billion. They started paying a dividend, 100 billion. How many billion in buybacks? This is, and we are
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
halfway to the year. So,
No,
uh,
I don't disregard Google, and I think it's a sort of like if you see right now we're in an upward channel, and it's like we're at the bottom of that channel. So and like Google at 170 just seems like a really good deal, and
yeah,
we're getting massive volatility because a lot of people are exchanging, and I just don't think like if you think Microsoft is going to be ahead of AI, like a leader in AI, Google is going to be right behind them, if not in front of them already, because it's like Google still behaves like a startup.
yes,
That's what I like about them. It's like they come up with so many products they're not scared of putting them out there, even though they're wrong,
yeah.
even though they're bad. They don't care because they'll improve it over time and they'll
You know
develop
what?
it. Have a look at look, let me tell you this. Have a look at the glasses, have a look at the video and audio editor that they came up with, Dimitri.
Yeah,
Have a look at what potentially is gonna come. Like it's insane. It's insane.
they came up with the glasses like a few years ago, and it was like a disaster.
Disaster.
The,
Yes.
the Gemini unveilment, when they came out with Gemini, that was a disaster as well.
It's always a disaster.
Yeah,
But
but
they're willing to break some eggs in order to make the omelet.
you know
That's
what?
what I like.
Amazon is like was like that too, doing when Bezos was running it, but it wasn't like such a bad taste with Amazon. But with Google seems like worse. Like
Yeah.
because Google like the search engine, like 10 years ago, the search engine was like witchcraft, and we thought that they were invisible, they can do anything, and then in some point they got they fell behind a little bit, and they got a couple of missteps, and we saw the stock price dropping, and then the Barron's article like a couple of months ago said that the fair price is $275, and the
Yeah,
market
yeah,
lost its
yeah,
mind because Barron's is not like CNN business. It's like
yeah.
it's actually a serious publication. So
It almost has as much credibility as Market Buzz. By the way, don't forget to hit that like and
yeah,
subscribe.
it has almost,
Almost,
almost.
almost. They're trying to. They're trying to get to our levels, but one day, I hope one day they get there.
Yes.
Well, that's awesome. That's fantastic. Okay, Google. Yeah, have a look. Have a look at the event, or have a look at the summary of what happened. It is impressive. The glasses is impressive because the glasses they are seamless with like a normal pair of glasses, and it's just like a screen on it, and you're
Mhm.
able to just see things.
Yeah.
And it's like it's an enhancement of reality that
When
could
was
potentially be.
when was the event?
The event was like a almost like a 2-3 weeks ago. It wasn't long ago. I will send. I will put it in the chat. I will put it in the chat.
Okay, so I probably know what you're talking about. I thought it was like a new event today or yesterday.
No,
That's
no,
what.
no, no, no,
Okay.
no, no. The latest event. The latest event.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
that one got a lot of euphoria, and that's why we've seen a little bit of a bounce with Google as
Yeah, it
well.
went from like 150 to
Yeah.
one almost 170. It was like a decent bounce. But you know what? But whatever they announce at this point, because there's so much uncertainty with so many things, I don't think anything is moving like crazy. We are in
Yeah.
a bull market, but we're trending sideways until we get. I
We
mean,
need some clarity. Like there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the markets, even though we're sitting very close to all-time highs. Like we
yeah,
almost recovered all of the like from the lows. We've recovered and pretty much
yeah,
everything in
but
the
the
S&P
all-time
and the
highs are so
Nasdaq.
old. The all-time highs are like so old. It's like from January.
Yeah, correct.
So
So they're still sort of like, I think we're gonna get a little bit of chop like sideways until we get a little bit more clarity with Europe and China, and then
yeah.
that potentially could bring down the floodgates. By the way, Mimi was in the chat. We missed her, and
Hmm.
she asked us, "Do you think certain stock prices don't move because of investors fail to recognize the potential?"
Absolutely.
I think you go, and I'll go after. You know what? You go, and
Uh,
I'll go after.
yeah, that's absolutely the case. And some companies are well covered by the financial press, and they get all the attention they need. And some companies are like less covered by the press, and investors are not getting excited about
Yeah,
them. Yes, it's absolutely the case
and I
for equity prices not
yeah.
moving.
And I think sometimes people don't know what they're buying either. You know, it's like sometimes like people buy hype. Like for example, one of the reasons I haven't bought Palantir is because I don't fully understand it.
You know what? You know what? I agree so much with you because I don't even know what they do, like data mining, whatever
You
the.
know, it's like data mining, and like they have an AI, and they have a thing that works with another thing, and they do technology, and they're growing really fast, and then they're worth 500 times earnings. And I'm like,
Yeah,
what is happening here?
and the government is paying for everything, and the CEO with crazy hair gets on CNBC and talks things that
Yeah.
nobody understands.
So that's the thing that scares me with for example, like if I was to make an investment in Palantir, I would be very likely to kind of sell whenever there is a drop because I don't understand what I'm buying.
Yeah,
But for example, when I bought Nvidia and I saw Nvidia go from 160 to 96, at 96 I was like, "Oh my god, the market has just given me a gift." And my birthday is coming up. Fantastic. You know, it's like great. I appreciate you very much, world. You know, because I understand it. I've done the research, I've done the analysis, I've gone through, right? So that's where it's like the research, and that's why I tend to like, you know, it's like always use programs like this and people online. Like again, me and Demetrius are just two random guys on the internet. Make sure you use this as inspiration or maybe as a starting point to do your own research and start
yes.
digging deeper in your own investments. And if you don't want to worry, make sure you copy us. But there's financial risks, so take that with a kilo of salt. Is the way that I like to say it.
By the way, Palantir, the name Palantir comes like from a movie.
Yes, I've heard this.
Which movie? Is it like The Lord of the Rings, or is it like
Let me have a look.
ask your
ChatGPT. Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings? Okay,
Comes from Lord of the Rings.
I haven't watched Lord of the Rings, so maybe that's why I'm not hyped up.
Oh wow.
I haven't watched Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter or of any of that. So
Don't tell my father that because then in Cyprus we're gonna be watching it. The 9 hour the 9 hour trifecta.
so maybe that's why I'm not hyped up about Palantir. The only thing I like about Palantir is one of the co-founders, Peter Thiel, which was the co-founder of PayPal and other things, a brilliant investor. I'm a huge fan of his. So whatever he's into, I'm interested. But I don't really understand. And Timothy explained to me what they do, but it was so complex that I don't remember. But it's data mining, and I
No,
don't
it's
know.
data mining and they have an LLM model on top of it and they're able to sort of optimize supply chain and logistics because even the NHS is doing that, like using it
Yes,
themselves.
and somehow they make money, and the
If
government.
the NHS makes it worldwide, like if the NHS implements it worldwide and it actually improves the NHS, I'll buy into Palantir because the NHS is such a slow demon that if anything is able to get through that bureaucracy, I'm game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
So
interesting about Palantir and the other thing, and the Palantir came up today at the event, and people are acting like because you missed Palantir is like the end of the world. No, this is investing. You missed the trend or you missed the company. They're like, okay, it's okay. They're
there's
like,
gonna be another one.
you missed the
Whoever
train. Catch the next one.
Yeah, Yeah. I keep and you know it's my me and
Don't.
my dad had this conversation, and it was like my
Yes,
dad was like, "It's a one in a lifetime opportunity," and I'm like, "Dad, there's one in a lifetime opportunities every day in the market,
yes,
every day.
yes,
You just have to do your research, and it's a little bit of luck, a little bit of like luck is where preparation meets opportunity.
yes. You have to have your eyes open
Yeah,
and cash on the sidelines to throw into the market at the right time. But you're not gonna get ahead if you every time you see something that you missed. And I try my best not to be like that. So sometimes I am, but I'm only feel bad for the companies that are actually really considering, like, should I do it today? Should I do it tomorrow? Should I do it at 15 times price to earnings? And I end up not doing it. Then the stock goes parabolic, and then I'm like, fuck, I was right there. I was about to press buy and I didn't. But something that I wasn't paying attention to and I missed it, I'm not going to be upset about that.
yeah.
So that's the investing game, and you can't have them all. Don't be greedy, and that's the name of the game. I'm happy
This
with
is
my
true.
Nvidia. I'm happy that the things that I could write, and hopefully we'll have our eyes open. And I miss Palantir. Okay, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Yo, Mimi's asking,
Yes,
one company too long, one company too short right now. Choose
any sector.
whatever you want.
Okay,
Whatever you want.
okay. To short. Let's start with the short. Let's start with the difficult.
You want to say short? Let's have a
Okay.
look. Let me think. Let me think. I'm
Pay-
down.
PayPal.
You want to short PayPal right now?
Yes. Yes.
You're crazy right now. PayPal right now? I'm thinking of buying it.
I was talking with Adamos today about about PayPal. I was like, I was on the bus going to the winery, and I was like, you know what, Adamos, I read your stuff, and I agree with everything you say. It's only one company that you wrote that I can't get my head around it. He said, which one? I said, PayPal. I don't get it about PayPal. So PayPal
Pay.
is short
Oh,
and long.
okay.
AMD.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
How about
I
you?
like that. I
And
like that. Well, I'm gonna start for the easy one because I know
don't
it.
give me Nvidia for long. Give me
Actually, no. I'm gonna give you a solar company. I'm gonna give you FSLR.
first solar.
Yeah,
Mimi, okay. The first solar answer. Mimi is dying laughing now.
for solar. Why? She doesn't like it?
We're gonna see her answer on the
The
chat.
chat. Let's see the chat. I like the thing is like, well, first solar. I don't know. I like it. I like it. FSLR. I'm telling you. I have a feeling about this company, and I think that what Trump is doing is gonna shift demand forward.
Hmm.
You know, so we'll see. And then
Yeah, that's the
for a
long.
short,
So first solar is your long.
yeah. Let me have a look.
Yeah.
Let me
Okay.
have a look for
That's a lot
short.
of conviction right there to go against the politics and
I am like in all honesty, like I like right now we are running out of energy, and solar is a way to get energy anywhere really fast,
yeah.
close to the place that you need it. Take advantage of that, and I just think that the AI revolution will bring prosperity when it comes to like the energy sector at least. So I don't know. I
Okay.
see it,
I
and you
don't
know
have
what?
a problem with your first solar. The one thing that scares me is that swings on the news, that 15,
100%.
20% up and down. That's the only thing that scares me. And not just with that, like any company that does that
Yeah.
once every
No,
few,
no, it's high risk. It's a
yes,
high risk trade. Like I'm bullish on it, but it's a very high risk trade. I'm like I went to like 110. I
yeah,
think First Solar reached the bottoms. And then
yeah.
for my short, Visa Mastercard.
Wow, wow, you're going outside. Oh, you're thinking outside the box today.
Like I'm like I don't know. Like well the thing and this goes against your short. This goes in relation to your short because I don't know if you've heard of the company Circle.
Yes, it went public the other day. Like,
Well, have you know what that company have you kept up with it at all?
yes, it was. Is it up 300% or something?
It is. I show you. I tell you. I talk to you about it. So it's up of only 40%. No, only today is up 40%.
Yeah.
It IPO'd at 60 something, probably 60. It IPO'd at 65,
And
somewhere around those numbers. I
now
don't
it's
want to
300, 400.
sitting at $239
Yeah.
because
So,
of what they're potentially gonna do to the payment system of America.
and you think Visa and Mastercard are going out of business?
No, I don't think they're gonna go out of business, but I think they're gonna be threatened. And I think they're gonna lose their cash cow, which is search. Oh no, sorry, not search. It's their network. I think their network is gonna get affected, right? If you can do the same thing for cheaper, people are gonna migrate quickly.
Does American Express ads goes with Visa and Mastercard as well, or they are on a different category? Because American Express is not just payments; it's like services as well. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just asking a very relevant question.
I'm thinking. Hmm. I don't know enough about it. That's the problem. If I was, I could. The thing is like the problem that I have because I know that American Express is always an issue because they're always more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Like even as a payment provider, they're always more expensive, but they're sort of like this like high, high.
Status, yes.
You know, could we see that status being dropped? I mean, like the thing is I think that if you're able to create a business, like I think, for example, Mastercard was working with Circle
Mm-hmm.
to actually use stable payment coins and all that stuff. So I'm sure they already have technology that will go par and par, but I think it'll affect the bottom line. And I think that they've taken advantage of the payment system, Visa and Mastercard. They're just like a software that gets or software hardware that just gets dropped on top of the economy, and it's like, yeah, I'll just make
So,
money.
so what do you think PayPal would be a good stock to go long now? If what you just said about with Circle and
Because I don't see I see PayPal potentially using the same systems because they've already entered into crypto and they're already looking into this, and I'm sure the research is there. They're just gonna be able to sort of take advantage of dethroning the big guys, and then that pie is just gonna get divided into everybody else. The
okay,
Genius Act, as Mimi says it, yeah, is
yeah.
the Genius Act is what sort of like gives me this sort of like now regulation has now met innovation. So
So okay, going. Visa and Mastercard are like the
it's
car.
ballsy. Like, don't get me wrong, high risk, high risk. I'm not doing it. I'm not going short Mr. Mastercard. But if I have to choose someone that I've been doing research on lately,
Are they both? Are they both like in the Dow Jones?
yeah, yeah, I think they are.
I
I think they're
mean,
in the
oh,
top.
yeah. I think they're both in
Yeah.
the Dow Jones. Uh, oh wow. Yeah, but
So
Circle, yeah, but Circle came. It was a surprise. It came like storming,
yeah, it
and when
came
the
knocking the door, and then everybody. And like the thing is like the right dominoes are falling at the right time
and,
in order for them to take
and those
advantage of it.
40%, those 40% days means that some people have a lot of confidence in the future of the company.
Yeah,
That's what it
yeah,
means.
yeah, yeah.
Like a 2% a day. Okay, that's like a regular day for whatever. But okay, that's an interesting. You
I
hear.
mean, like the thing is like you know what I like, and the reason I say this is because I've seen like I've seen Visa and Mastercard charts for a while now, and I've seen how solid they are. Yeah. It's all they do. Like for them to come down the way that they've done in the last couple of days, I think Visa was down like
been a,
10%
it's been a week, I think, that
in a
Visa
week.
are
It's like, and it's
having
like,
gone.
what is happening here? And I did a little bit more research, and I was like, this is interesting. This is interesting. This is putting, it's like they were comfortable in their block. They were pretty much a duopoly in the payment sector system. Because yeah, like American Express is something, but it's nothing compared to Visa and Mastercard. The accessibility that Visa and Mastercard have is
As,
massive.
as far numbers, they are much more. They're bigger than American Express, but
Yeah.
American Express has like the status thing.
Yes.
The young guy wants a black American Express, basically.
But who do you want to own, right? Louis Vuitton or Walmart?
Depending on the economy, but Walmart, go with Walmart any day.
Yeah,
between
you
the
know. So in this case, is that's what I see, and it's just like they've been able to take advantage of being the payment provider in a massive economy just because of the credit card revolution and how that came about. And I don't think, like, the thing is the Americans will always borrow money, but
yes,
could you not make that system easier with smart contracts? This is what sort of like the crypto revolution promised to be in a
yes,
sense.
yes,
Because even now with Visa and Mastercard, you still don't get instantaneous transactions. Like, it's
yes,
usually the bank tells you, oh, now we're gonna buy in 3 to 4 days, we're gonna take the money, but we're gonna take the money out of the account, and it's like
yes.
the ledger system is complicated.
Mm.
All right. Anything else? We've been going for an hour. We're gonna definitely have to break this episode down into smaller chunks. But
Yes,
Mimi, you are awesome. Thanks so much for stepping by. I know it's super late for you, so we appreciate you very much. She was doing a trade. You know, she was shorting today. I don't know if I'm allowed to say. Am I allowed to say? Am I allowed to say
tell it
she was
already,
shorting something?
tell it already.
I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. I
You know
don't
what?
know.
I wasn't too active on the market bus chat today, only
Yeah.
because I was at the
At
diamond.
the event. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's crazy. Yo, by the way, show us what you got. Show us what you got. I don't have my gift here. That's so sick. That's so sick. That's nice.
Red bottle of wine, a Reserva 2019.
I'm game.
So looking forward to drinking this, by the way. But it's red, so it has to wait
Until there's meats.
until it meets and like cooler weather. And I bought a bunch of wine from there since everything I tried I liked. I bought like 4 bottles of wine, and I came home like 20 minutes before we went live, but we got into good
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah. I want to open mine. I'm doing an opening for my channel, and I'm talking about the event and stuff. Cause yeah, it was fun
Was the event in the where the UK Diamond event took place?
in the parliament.
How they let you guys in there?
I don't know. I walked in and I was like, yo, like, can I just walk in here? Like, I'm trying to go here. Like, it says
Security, no
David.
nothing,
Huh?
no security.
I mean, yeah, a ton of security. We had to, like, you had to go through the metal checks, metal detectors, all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I was confused. I was like, how they let you guys in there? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah, yeah, yeah.
can walk into the parliament and do an
No,
event.
yeah, no, they rent it out. They rent it out. And then it was funny because I overstayed my welcome a little bit. I stayed until the very, very, very end. We had a police escort coming out of the event.
Yeah,
I mean, I call it police escort. The staff walked us through, and we walked out and we left through Big Ben. So like under we left, the exit we took
I
was
saw
under Big Ben.
I saw that picture that you posted.
It was nuts. It was
Yeah,
an event to remember. So
yeah,
it's like, Itoro, if you're listening, I'm always available. You just tell me where to go. I'll go. You know what I mean? I'm happy to go.
yeah, yeah. Today the event in Cyprus, the first Diamond event in Cyprus, it was an awesome experience, and I had the chance to present.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's cool. That's cool that you got to present it because for us, there was no popular investor that presented. Like it was just we had the chief editor of The Economist.
mhm.
Yo, I was geeking the fuck out. Like, wow, I was so happy. Everybody in the table, oh my god, this is so boring. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? This guy's fucking talking like you fucking first. What the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, fucking microeconomic fucking analysis from the fucking chief economist. What the fuck? And everybody was like, this is so boring. And I'm like, you fuckers. Yeah. And then they talked about, like what's the platform planning to
Yeah,
do and what are we working towards and all of that stuff. But yeah, it was interesting to meet the diamond members. It
yeah,
was like a lot of crypto people. I was so surprised.
yeah. I met a lot of people today too at the event, and surprising how many people they like crypto.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it's insane. It's like it's almost more popular than stocks.
it is because it's more exciting to talk about.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
eToro started with crypto. It was one of the first few exchanges that had
yes,
crypto.
yes, yes, and that has a lot to do with it. And but yeah, crypto is like a big subject, and more people are willing to accept investment to crypto, at least the large coins. Once you get into the meme coins, then okay, it's like for a certain taste, the meme coins.
Yeah.
But yeah, uh, some of the large altcoins and obviously Bitcoin, stable coins is just what's the point of holding a stable coin? I don't see the point. But yeah, crypto is making a comeback.
I think so. I think so. And we'll leave it at that. Thank you, Mimi, so much for watching. Everybody, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode of Market Buzz. Bam, bam, bam. Do I have the video here? I think I have the video here. Yeah, second.
You got it?
I'm in a ghetto freaking setup because there you go. And then we do because like my my sister decided like I wanted to change the name in the contract and my sister turned off my internet connection. Oh, that's not it. It's this one. There we go. Welcome to another episode of Pa-Bam Pa-Bam Market Buzz. All right. But yeah. All right. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.